Are you preparing for a Java interview? Java interviews often include tricky questions that test your deep understanding of the language. In this video, we break down 10 tricky Java interview questions with detailed explanations, helping you avoid common pitfalls and ace your next interview. Can you override private or static methods in Java? Private methods cannot be overridden because they are not inherited by subclasses. They are accessible only within the same class. Static methods cannot be overridden either. Instead, they can be hidden if a subclass defines a method with the same signature. However, method hiding is different from overriding since it does not involve runtime polymorphism. Only instance methods, non-static, non-private, are eligible for overriding. What happens if you don't override equals and hashCode for HashMap keys? HashMap uses hashCode to determine the bucket in which a key-value pair should be stored. If two logically equal objects don't have the same hashCode, they might end up in different buckets, leading to failed lookups. If equals is not properly overridden, even if two objects have the same hashCode, Java may still treat them as different when retrieving values. Always override both equals and hashCode together to ensure proper functionality when using custom objects as keys in collections like HashMap. What happens when modifying a list while iterating over it? In Java, modifying a list while iterating through it using a standard for each loop leads to concurrent modification exception. This happens because the internal structure of the collection is being changed while an active iterator is working on it. The safe way to modify a collection while iterating is to use an iterator and its remove method or a list iterator for more advanced operations. Another approach is using removeIf in Java 8+ or collecting elements to remove and processing them afterward. How does Java evaluate expressions when mixing numbers and strings? Java evaluates expressions from left to right. If a number appears before a string in an expression, it follows standard arithmetic rules until the first string appears. Once a string appears, the rest of the expression is treated as string concatenation rather than arithmetic. This behavior can sometimes lead to unexpected results if developers assume addition will occur before concatenation. Why does equals equals behave differently from dot equals for objects like strings? The equals equals operator checks reference equality, meaning it verifies whether two object references point to the same memory location. The dot equals method, on the other hand, is used to check value equality, whether the actual data inside two objects is the same. This distinction is crucial when working with strings, as Java optimizes string literals using a string pool. Directly assigned literals may share memory, while manually created string objects do not. What happens when you call run instead of start in a thread? If you call run directly instead of start, the code inside run executes synchronously like a normal method, without creating a new thread. Only start actually creates a new thread and runs the run method asynchronously. This mistake can lead to performance issues, as intended multi-threading benefits won't be realized. What happens if an exception is thrown in a finally block? A finally block executes regardless of whether an exception is thrown in try or catch. If an exception occurs in the finally block, it overrides any exception thrown in the try or catch block. This can lead to unintended behavior where the original exception is lost, making debugging difficult. Best practice: avoid throwing exceptions in finally and use logging instead. Why is double not recommended for monetary calculations? Floating point numbers like double use binary representation, which can cause precision errors in decimal arithmetic. For example, operations like 0.1 plus 0.2 do not result in an exact 0.3 due to floating point rounding issues. In financial applications, such inaccuracies can be problematic. Instead, Java provides big decimal, which allows for exact decimal calculations and should be used for monetary computations. Why do static blocks execute before main? When a Java class is loaded into memory, static blocks execute before the main method because they are part of class initialization. Static blocks are often used for setting up static variables, configuration, or executing code that must run once before any object of the class is created. This behavior ensures that shared resources or configuration settings are initialized before program execution begins. How do you create an immutable class in Java? Immutability means an object's state cannot be changed after it is created. To create an immutable class, declare the class final to prevent subclassing. Declare all fields private final so they cannot be modified. Provide a constructor that initializes all fields. Do not provide any setter methods. Return defensive copies of mutable fields instead of direct references. Immutable objects are inherently thread-safe, making them useful for multi-threaded applications. Tricky Java questions often test edge cases, memory management, multi-threading, and design best practices. Understanding these core principles can help you perform well in Java interviews. Subscribe for more Java interview preparation. Comment below with any tricky Java questions you've encountered. Like and share this video if you found it helpful.